The Bible verse most Christians ignore, but it explains everything. There is a verse in the Bible that most Christians have read, many have memorized, and almost everyone quotes. But very few people actually live it. Not because it's hard to understand, not because it's hidden, but because if we truly accepted it, it would change how we see God, suffering, faith, prayer, and ourselves. This verse explains why some people feel close to God, why others feel distant, why faith sometimes feels peaceful, and other times feels painfully confusing. And today we're going to slow down, no rushing, no shouting, and look at it carefully. Because this verse doesn't just explain belief, it explains everything. The verse is Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To do justly, to love mercilessly, and to walk humbly with your God. At first glance, it sounds simple, almost too simple. No list of rituals, no complex theology, no dramatic spiritual performance. Just three things: justice, mercy, humility. And yet this verse is often ignored. Why? Because it quietly dismantles a version of faith that many of us were taught. Why is this verse ignored? Most Christians don't reject Micah 6:8. They just bypass it because it doesn't reward loud faith. It doesn't praise appearance. It doesn't elevate spiritual image. This verse doesn't ask, how often do you go to church? How much scripture can you quote? How convincing is your testimony? It asks something far more uncomfortable. How do you treat people when no one is watching? How do you respond when you could choose kindness, but it costs you? How do you walk when pride would be easier? Micah 6:8 exposes a truth many believers struggle with. God is not impressed by religious performance. God is moved by transformed hearts. And that's unsettling because performance is easier to control than humility. Here's what many people don't know. Micah 6 isn't gentle background scripture. It's God confronting his people. They were still offering sacrifices, still holding ceremonies, still claiming devotion, but their faith had become transactional. God, what do you want from us? So you'll bless us? And God's response was not more offerings, more noise, more religion. Instead, God said, I already showed you what matters: justice, mercy, humility. In other words, stop asking how to impress me, start asking how to reflect me. What do justly really means? Doing justly doesn't mean being perfect. It means being honest, even when dishonesty would benefit you. It means refusing to exploit others, even subtly. It means caring about fairness, even when it doesn't serve your side. Justice isn't just about laws. It's about daily choices. How you speak, how you judge, how you treat people who can't give you anything back. Many believers avoid this part because justice requires self-examination, and self-examination is uncomfortable. Why love mercy is harder than it sounds. Notice the verse doesn't say show mercy, it says love mercy. That means mercy isn't something you offer reluctantly, it's something you value. Mercy means forgiving when you're still hurting, showing compassion before someone deserves it, remembering how much mercy you needed. This is where many Christians quietly struggle, because mercy feels unfair when you've been wounded. But Scripture reminds us, we don't follow a God who withholds mercy until we earn it. We follow a God who leads with mercy. And when mercy becomes optional, faith becomes harsh. The most ignored part, walk humbly. This might be the hardest command of all. Not be humble, walk humbly. Walking implies movement, consistency. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less often. It's admitting you don't have all the answers. You can be wrong. God doesn't exist to validate your ego. Many people avoid humility because they confuse it with weakness. But humility is actually strength under control. And Scripture is clear. God resists the proud, but draws near to the humble. If God feels distant, this verse gently asks us to look inward, not upward. Why this verse explains everything. Micah 6:8 explains why faith sometimes feels hollow, why prayer can feel unanswered, why religion can exist without transformation. Because when justice, mercy, and humility disappear, faith becomes noise without substance. This verse explains why Jesus later said, They honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me, not because God left, but because the heart stopped walking with him. What this means for you. This verse is not meant to condemn you. It's meant to free you. You don't need to perform. You don't need to prove. You don't need to impress God. God isn't asking for perfection. He's asking for alignment. Justice in how you live, mercy in how you love, humility in how you walk. That's it. And when those three things are present, faith stops being heavy and starts being real. Ask yourself, which one of these has God been inviting me into? Justice, mercy, or humility? Micah 6:8 isn't ignored because it's unimportant. It's ignored because it's transformational. And transformation requires honesty. If this message spoke to you, you're not alone. Leave a comment with just one word: justice, mercy, or humility. And if you want more quiet, grounding Bible reflections like this, consider subscribing. Not for noise, not for performance, but for faith that walks.